one of the things is that is always important to remember is remembering that in this world you have access to God. And I think one of the things that people forget is uh, uh, they forget that they have access to God in this world. And you and I, we are constantly being bombarded with the different attacks from the enemy, right? We were constantly being bombarded with the different things that the enemy is doing. And so that's why, that's okay, so not do that. So that's why it's important for us to, as we are, as we are experiencing the different attacks, the different, um, whether it's be attacks in the mind, whether it be physical attack, if that's something that you're going through, uh, as a believer, right? Or it can be verbal, and different kinds of persecution that the righteous face in their generation. And um, it's always important to remember we have access to God, um, because the enemy is going to. Uh, he's going to boast himself as if, right, as if he's in control. He's going to boast himself as if he have authority and power over you. He has no authority, no power over you, because you are now submitted, committed to Jesus Christ. And so now we are always, so we got to remember we have access to God. Anytime the enemy can have over you, it's Jesus Christ. That's perfect. We have to always remember we have access to God in this world. We have, all we have to do is call upon the name of Jesus, so that we can be saved, we can be delivered, right? We see that with different men of the Bible. One of the prime examples that I think about is Jehoshaphat, right? So he was a godly king. He just had uh, a bad reputation of making ungodly relationships, and having uh, connecting himself with ungodly people, and that was a snare to him and his house. Now, we believe he died in righteousness, but the Spirit of God had to allot the curse in the next generation, right? So after he is done reigning as king, he set up his firstborn son as king. And what he do? He kills all of his brothers because Jehoshaphat made an affinity with ungodly people, people that hated the Lord. The Spirit of God had to correct him in that way. And he also corrected him with almost like threatening to take his life. Uh, so he's connected with Ahab. He has a relationship with Ahab. Ahab hates God. His wife hates God. They don't serve God. They worship Baal. The curse is manifesting in their lives, in their nation. And Jehoshaphat makes a league with him, an affinity with him. And the Spirit of God did not like that. We know he didn't like that because as they're pursuing to go into this battle, Jehoshaphat is wanting a word from the Lord. He's wanting a word from the Lord, and he's wanting to get counsel from God. He's wanting to get counsel from God as to know if they should go to this war, and if they do, will they prosper? So he gets 400 prophets of the grove, or 400 false prophets, 400 prophets that worship Baal, worship idols. Grove is a place where they will do their different sacrifices. So he gets 400 of them, and they're all saying the same thing. They are all saying the same thing. Now, in most cases, generally speaking, you want to answer, and you want to answer from God, and everybody's saying the same exact thing. You're going to believe that that word is true. You're going to believe that the Spirit of God is positioning you to actually pursue what it is that you're trying to pursue. Like everybody's saying the same thing. So you're going to feel like, oh, that's confirmation from the Lord. But in actuality, it's the deception of the Lord. He's deceiving the person. Isaiah talks about how he lay in Zion, which is Jerusalem. He lay in Zion as a stumbling stone and a rock of offense. So everybody's saying the same exact thing. Why? Because the Spirit of God is planning to take Ahab's life because of his rebellion. He's planning. He's wanting to. He's wanting to know how he can kill this guy because of his rebellion. And a lot of people don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that God is planning to kill you because of your rebellion, because of your sinful ways. But you need to hear that so that you can revert back to the paths of righteousness. So Ahab believes his word because Ahab already wants to go to war. He already have it in his heart to go to war. He already want to go to war. He already want to take Ramoth Gilead because it belongs to them. It belongs to Israel. He wants to go to war. He want to go to war. And so God gave him what he want. Okay, you want to go to war? Okay. Not knowing that the Spirit of God is trying to deceive him. Excuse me, not knowing that God is trying to take his life. And so he gets this prophecy, it's about supposedly prophetic word from, yeah, go up to battle for the Lord is going to deliver it into your hand. 400 of them saying this. And Jehoshaphat, he discerns, like, okay, is there any other person? Is there any other person that can tell us God's will for this battle, if you want us to go or not? And Ahab said, yeah, there's another person, but I hate him because he doesn't prophesy anything good. He doesn't say anything good. He's always speaking evil things. And so he said, don't let the king say so. Like, bring him so we can hear what he have to say. And this guy goes into an extensive vision that he has about how the Spirit of God took counsel. He's asking his servants, who's going to persuade Ahab to go to battle, to Ramoth Gilead to fall, or who's going to persuade him to go to war at Ramoth Gilead so that he fall? And one spoke on this manner, another spoke on that manner. So you got angels and demons are giving God different suggestions as to how they could persuade Ahab to go to battle so that he die. And then it said, or maybe because they have to be in council. When the Spirit of God calls for counsel, The angels and the demons everywhere have to appear before God so that they could give account of what's happening in the earth, so that they can make different decisions happen in the earth at the permission of the Lord. So he's asking his angels, he's asking these demons who can persuade this guy to go to battle so he can die. So they're giving suggestions, and then they said there came forth a spirit. Now, this guy, Micaiah, is having this vision. He's having this vision, and he said, a spirit came forth and said, I will persuade him. And the Lord asked, how? And he said, I'm going to be a lying spirit in the mouth of all of his prophets, 400 of them. Now, Ahab, because he had previous encounters with Elijah, and as Elijah is speaking the word of God to him, rebuking him, telling him how he's going to take away his posterity, Ahab went away softly. So him hearing this word from Micaiah, he should have recounted of his previous experience with Elijah, because he was able to discern whether or not a person was a prophet of the Lord. And so he should have took to mind, oh no, this guy's speaking the truth. But because the Spirit of God wanted to kill him, he positioned Ahab to believe what these prophets were saying because he already wanted to go to battle. So how much more are you, as a person that doesn't serve God, are consenting to your death by your sinful ways? So he go to this battle. He go to this battle. All these people are lying to him. And, these people, they're not believing what Micaiah is saying. And one of the guys named Zedekiah, he hit Micaiah and asked a derogatory question, or this disrespectful question, which way went the Spirit of the Lord for me to speak to you? And he says, behold, when these things happen and you hide yourself in the chamber, you're going to know. Right? And so he goes to this battle with Ahab, Jehoshaphat. He's seeing all of this. And in the battle, Jehoshaphat is deceived by Ahab. Ahab made him dress in his kingly robes, and Ahab disguised himself and entered the battle. And it says in verse 31 of 2nd Chronicles 18, verse 29, it says, and the king of Israel said to Joshua, I will disguise myself and will go to the battle, but put you on your robes. So the king of Israel disguised himself and they went to the battle. Now the king of Syria had commanded captains of the chariots that were with him, saying, fight you not with small or great, save only with the king of Israel. Only fight with the king of Israel. Now he's disguised. And it came to pass when the captains of the chariots saw Jehoshaphat, they said, it is the king of Israel. And therefore they compassed him about to fight. But Jehoshaphat cried to the Lord, and he helped them, and God moved them from him. So when they saw his response, it was like, no, that's not the king. This is not the king. The king of Israel doesn't act this way. This is not the king of Israel. And then it says, when it came to pass, when the captains of the chariots perceived it wasn't the king, they turned back from pursuing him. And a certain man drew a bow at a venture and smote the king of Israel between the joints of the harness. Therefore he said to his chariot man, turn your hand and carry me out of those, for I am wounded. So the Spirit of God just like put it on a random person's mind to just, oh, that's the king right there. And he shot him with an arrow. Yeah. When it's time for you to die, man, you cannot not die. Like Solomon says that the spirit of, like, your spirit, you cannot preserve your spirit when it's time to die. When it's time to go, it's time to go. You just better be in right standing with the Spirit of God. So Jehoshaphat he experienced the wrath of God because he was in a league with Ahab, which hated the Lord. And in the very next chapter, a prophet comes to him. He says, should you love those that hate the Lord. Like, you got to understand, man, that the grace and the power of God that's on your life, uh, when you protect and you are in league with those that hate God and He wants to destroy them, He cannot do that because the grace and power on your life is preserving or protecting this person. And I had to experience that the hard way, which we won't get into now, maybe later as the Lord lead. But humbling yourself before God is important. Don't make leads with those that hate God. It just will not work because the wrath of God is on their lives and the grace of God is on your life, and God is trying to kill them, but He can't kill them because you're connected with them, and because God, you serve God, you're protecting them from God's wrath. I had to learn that the hard way. I had to learn that the hard way. Lord willing, we will continue this video. So.